farm in Pennsylvania where I will spend the rest of my life, and he does. It's not too far from the Hershey, Pennsylvania theme park, and he will hold the Easy Company reunions there forever. Until, a lot of the guys were from the East Coast, Bill Garnier, Joe Toy, and so there was this very close, tight-knit relationship. Here is the farm. It's a cute, little farm. He builds most of it himself. In later life, he moved into town and lived in an apartment, but always maintained the farm for when he needed a little bit of quiet and solitude. And here's the thing that I really like about him, how he always looked after his men. When they made the miniseries, Winter says, well, I'll talk to the fellas and see if they want to do it. But if we do, I realize that none of us are ever going to have the peace and solitude that we enjoy now. But if we agree, my men get to pick out the guys who are going to portray them and our dead friends. And when Damian Lewis was chosen to play Winters, Winters was like, no, British guy's not playing me, until he met the actor Damian Lewis. But this is my favorite part. As they were making the pilot, there was a lot of cussing and swearing. And Winters is like, well, Tom, Steve, what's this? Well, it's for the younger audience. It's going to add some oomph. And Winters is like, no, our story's so good, you don't need to add anything to it. You need to reshoot that. And they go, well, it's going to cost millions of dollars in time we don't have. And Winters says, well, if you want to use our story, you're going to have to reshoot it. Tom Hanks and Steve Spielberg's back down, and they reshot the first 2 episodes, Curry, Heat, and Day of Days. When asked about it, every single man in the Easy Company once again said, well, if Major Winters wants it done, then that's what you are going to do. He kept records on every member, knew every member, their wife's name, their children's name, and their grandchildren's name, gave each of them a card and a phone call on their birthday. Gave a series of leadership lectures at West Point, becoming very close friends with Colonel Cole Kingseed, pretty much up into his death a couple years ago. 2007, I got a surprise phone call on July the 7th, being very frustrated, coming home from my dear sister-in-laws who wouldn't let me blow off 4th of July fireworks in the backyard. This is my wife, by the way. I get home and the phone is ringing and, someone's gone. I'm like, what? It's hello, Bill. And I was like, oh my God, this is a strange voice. Got someone here who wants to talk to you. And at that time, I just sent Chapel Hill senior John Zornick to West Point. I thought that someone was coming to tell me, hey, John, Mr. Melega, where things are going well, whatever. He's like, I'm going to put this gentleman on the phone. This is Colonel Cole Kingseed. You're really going to want to talk to this guy. And, yeah, fine, whatever, I'm expecting John. And it's, hi, Bill. This is Dick Winters. And I think I started to cry. I'm not really sure. I don't remember. The phone call. Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, I have no idea. Until you hung up. Yeah, so, and she's like, oh my God, is everyone okay? I'm like, it's Dick Winters. So, I had a really neat conversation with him. And his men always said that they never saw him from that day when he got Christensen righted after marching 11 miles. They never saw him make a bad decision. He always put them first, and everything he did just kind of worked out. So there's all the original members of Easy Company before they ship off from Camp Toccoa for New York to head across the Atlantic Ocean. And these are their foxholes outside Bastogne in the town of Foy. Not really easy to find, but if you can read a map, you can find them. And this is the shelling where the famous episode where Torrey and Garnier get hurt really bad. These are their foxholes. Some of the signs in the Bastogne War Museum, which is the best, I think, World War II museum I have ever been in. And what I like is he dies January 2nd, 2011, and Utah Beach just opened a brand new museum, and they wanted, the people of St. Marie du Mont wanted to put a statue of Winters up. And he said no. He said, I can't let you do that. I called, come on man, you're our man, you're our chosen son. And he goes, well, you can do it, but you can't put it up until after I'm dead and gone, because then I can't say no. He was humble to the very end, and he said the monument should represent all junior officers who jumped into Normandy, not just me. When he died, on his headstone, all it is plain and simple, just like the man himself, Richard Winters, 101st Airborne, and there is the 12-foot tall statue of Dick Winters outside the Utah Beach Cemetery. In my mind, he is the perfect example, much like Joshua Chamberlain, of the everyman, the normal, everyday American citizen soldier who did their job, who volunteered and went in to help liberate France from Nazi oppression. And that is a great way to end Lecture Series 2016. So, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Thinking through to all the leaders you talked about, is there like a common thread or common characteristics that you think they all had that?
To me, it is not only were they first to do many things, but they made a series of large, I won't say earth-shaking, but large decisions that reciprocated and carried throughout time. Not just one, but many. Oftentimes, everyone thought that they were crazy, but they all stood their ground and they were accountable and said, if it doesn't work, it's my fault. I think that's what separates them. If you go back to the presidents and you walk around and poll who are the top presidents, they're going to say Washington, Lincoln, Roosevelt, Jefferson. It's the same type of guys. Last week you guys